I'm Russell Murray, and I will be taking you through my new album, Life Overstimulated, track by track. In my mind, Fuel was always going to be the opener. I debated about making an intro for the album and having it fade into Fuel, but I figured just starting it off the rip was a better tone setter for the album. I think instantly beginning with that bass line as it fades into the guitars just really hits a lot harder once the beat finally drops. Fuel's entire job is to set the tone not just of this album, but the entire L.I.F.E series. The entire series is based around things in existence that make people wonder what is the purpose of living. Whether it's things they go through or what other people go through or just general certain happenings in the world, it all plays a factor. L.I.F E, the series, stands for Lost in Fleeting Existence. Narratively, the concept kind of begins at the end where you're kind of at the end of your rope and you're trying to figure out, how did I get here? Pretty much everything that is touched upon starts with Fuel. I'm just going to say this outright, Bootlicker is one of my favorite songs I've ever released, and it's not even close. At least for my self-produced stuff. After Can You Hear Me Yet being comprised of instrumentals that I bought online, I debated what sound I wanted to go for coming back to self-producing everything. And Bootlicker was like the first song I wrote with this new vibe, and it gave me a sign of, okay, I can make this work. When it comes to certain subjects, I like to try to be subtle. This one is not subtle. Bootlicker is basically just my hatred of people who can't think for themselves and feel like they have to agree with everything as if they're a part of a hive mind, but taking that and scaling it up into an anti-authoritative theme, culminating in a message of why are you doing something for someone that wouldn't do the same for you? Just because they're a higher figure in a certain sense. I just took that thought process and put it into the song. Don't grieve for me. Plain and simple, this is about people who will pretend to care about you when you're in crisis or gone, even though they never really showed that while you were here. Ultimately, the song is about thinking about who would go to your funeral and actually be there out of sincerity. Do some people not grieve at all and just pretend to? Obviously, it depends on the person, but this is taking yourself, putting it into that role, and seeing who actually cares. This has been a song that I've had in the works for a long time now and was actually supposed to be the title track of a separate album I was working on. And what I did was I tried to take the entire concept of that album and just smush it into this song. And the overall concept isn't too much different from the L.I.F E series as a whole. It was meant to be a lot more synth heavy and atmospheric. And since I'm not really a singer, I was like, okay, I need a feature. And somehow I got the amazing Save, who I've been a fan of for a while. I just shot her a text saying, hey, I'm a fan, would you mind doing a feature on a song of mine? I sent her the demo and she was like, absolutely. So I was just so ecstatic that when I heard her finished vocals that she sent to me, I was so overjoyed. Pause is about escapism and wanting to run away to a place where no one knows where you are, where you're free of absolutely everything in life. And Save is supposed to be like your subconscious trying to talk you in to doing this. And in an album that has a lot of heavy moments, I like having a contrast, and I think putting this track at number 4 after 3 pretty hard-hitting songs was a perfect way to stop and just take a breath. I want to say this is a song that I've had in the works for 3 years now, and it feels good to get out there, especially with having someone as amazing as Save on it. Mementos. Throughout the album, there are like pairs of songs that share similar themes. Bootlicker and Send in the Clowns share a very similar theme, and this song shares a similar theme to Happy, the last track. Mementos is about thinking back on people who were in your life and are no longer in them, whether it's been because they moved away or passed away. It's just things being in your life not being present anymore. Pretty much the message summed up is nostalgia is a bitch. I wanted this song to sound frantic, almost as if your entire life was flashing before your eyes in a moment. Vocally, this is one of the more raw songs that I've done where I didn't do that many layers for my vocals. I wanted to switch this one up and make it feel a little different than the rest of the album because this is another song that was originally supposed to be another project of mine, but I managed to bring it to this one. I actually checked. This is the shortest song that I've ever released that isn't technically an interlude, intro, or outro. None of my songs are very long, but I want to take more time with some of them just to get the message across. I have more time to stretch it out, or I have an instrumental that I just have more parts in. This one, the message is very simple, and I feel like it didn't need to go on for that long. Fade Away is about people who really like to glorify being popular on social media. Yes, I see the irony in me making this video for social media, talking about social media. How much are people really on their phones? And not for communicating with other people, just posting stuff, trying to be popular. In the end, it doesn't really matter. Everything ends, so do what you want, but taking so much time to reach a really hard goal when it's kind of a pipe dream just seems, a little weird. At least to me it does, and that's why I felt influenced to make this song. Suffocate is one of my favorite songs I've written instrumentally. One, because it's in 6, and I love songs that are in 3 or 6. But 2, because I grew up with bands like Symphony X and Dream Theater that added orchestral elements into their music. And even when I started to venture out on my own music taste, Early Set It Off had a lot of orchestral parts, and I've done this in songs of mine before, but not songs that were this heavy. I wouldn't say that the song is on the heavier side of the entire album, but definitely has the heaviest ending of a song on the album. Suffocate is a perfect opposite of the next track, Everything, because this is about taking a look at your passion and saying, is it really worth it? Am I wasting my time trying to make art that how many people are even going to see? Losing the passion in your passion. All the money and time you spend on something keeps building up to the point where it starts to feel suffocating and you don't know if you can do it anymore or even want to do it. But this is the yin to the yang of the next track. The first song of this new vibe. This was the first single I put out with this new sound. And once again, this is a song that I've had in the works for a long time. Originally, I was going to have a feature on this song. There was a whole verse that I cut that was supposed to be kind of rap-ish, but the collaboration just didn't end up happening, and I decided I like this song too much to just let it die. So I literally just cut out that verse, and the rest of the song is as it was. Lyrically though, this is a continuation of Suffocate and finding that little spark or glimmer of hope in, you know what, I'm not done. I don't want to give up on this passion I have. This is the only happy kind of moment in this album, but not in a, oh, I found out this is my passion, and more like, no, screw you, I'm not done. Grinding teeth. I really wanted to go for a more, not punkish, but kind of hardcore feel with this song instrumentally, at least for the verses, maybe not the choruses, but I wanted it to have a very just straightforward, kind of two-steppy vibe. This song is about people who make you feel like it's weird to be yourself and you have to bite your tongue, or in this case, grind your teeth. It's insane how some people will let others drag them down, even if they don't really know them, just for whatever reason. I've had my experiences with this my whole life, and this is about taking those times and how angry it kind of makes you feel, not even with that person, but with yourself, and just lashing out and finally letting that anger go. I would say this is one of the more therapeutic songs in terms of I am done with you. On most of my albums or mixtapes, I like to have a oddball song. One that stands out from the rest for just having an interesting vibe, or one that's a little different from the overall kind of feel. And what comes next is the one for this album, because I don't know what inspired me to do that kind of like dancey type beat, but it's where the music led me. Lyrically, this is just about uncertainty. But the main thing that makes this song stand out, at least for me, is that I broke my record of the longest scream I've ever recorded on a song. Previously, it was on Skewer the Wicked off of Can You Hear Me Yet, and I beat it on this track. So that one felt good, getting that taken there. Send in the Clowns is essentially a perfect example of a song that I would have been listening to in my early days of high school, before I even really got into metal. In a previous video, I mentioned how a lot of songs are kind of in pairs in terms of related themes. This has a very similar theme to Bootlicker in terms of people being a part of a hive mind. And once again, this is a song that I've had in my back pocket for a while now. Out of the 12 songs, 8 of them were completely made from scratch, and 4 of them were ones that I had and just brought up to date, and I explained all of them in their own videos. And this song has something that I don't do often, but I really enjoy doing it: having a key change. Having the last chorus of a song be one step up, just making it feel so much more grand, like the big finale of the song just hits so hard for me, and I want to do that here. And last but not least, Happy. This is some of the most production I've put in a song in terms of how many things are in it. I was debating if I wanted it to be more synth heavy or orchestra heavy, but then I was like, why not just do both? And this song has a very similar theme to Mementos in terms of nostalgia. As where Mementos is more generally about things being in your life that aren't anymore, Happy is about thinking back to when you were younger and not realizing how different life is once you actually grow up. All the responsibilities and things that you don't think about when you're naive. It's about thinking, how happy was I back then compared to now? And the way I wanted this message to come across was as if I was singing to an old friend of mine that I haven't seen in years, who we both kind of shared happiness, but since we've grown up and grown apart, we have not been the same. I know it's a weird note to end the album on, but keep in mind, this is only part 1. Right now, part 2 is looking to be even heavier and more aggressive than this, which is, I would say, my most aggressive album yet, at least out of my self-produced stuff. So if you like this album, then keep an eye out, because I got some big things planned for part 2. But until then, I really hope that you enjoyed Life Overstimulated.